Okay, wonderful. So, for those of you that might be watching the recording, and you don't know me, my name is Dan, and I am so excited to be here tonight. And I'm joined by my good friend Tyler, who you're definitely going to get to hear from. And so you're probably going to get to hear from everyone if everyone wants to share for sure. But the layout of how we're going to do tonight is that we are going to I want to take just an even shorter grounding into the space tonight. And then because there's like a nice little close group here, I really want to see how everyone's feeling, and give us the opportunity to connect with one another. Then we're going to move into, it's going to be brief, it's going to be short, like a 10 to 15 minute meditative somatic experience. And it's going to be something that's gentle. It's going to be something you can do in your bed. You can do sitting. If you want to stand up, you can. If you want to get close with your floor, you can. And then we're just going to have time where I will give prompts for what we've done, in terms of the actual experiencing itself. But you're going to have the opportunity that if you just want to connect to your river within and let things flow out of you and creatively write, or even just like emotionally write, you're going to have that space as well. And at the end, we can also share anything that we want to be witnessed in. And that is the layout of how tonight is going to go. So, jumping right into taking a grounding few deep breaths. You can close your eyes if that feels good. You can leave them open if that feels better. If that feels better, I ask that you find a soft gaze. And what that means, just gently soften the eyelids. And then I want you to bring your eyes to something else in the space, just preferably not on a screen. And we'll begin with 3 cleansing breaths. So let's take a deep breath in through the nose and softly let this one out of the mouth. Gently in again through the nose. And let this one out with a little bit more sound. And now last one, deep breath in, and you're going to hold it at the top. And as you're holding at the top, I want you to see if you can soften your stomach, soften your shoulders, your jaw, the space in between your eyebrows. And when I say 1, let out a nice sigh. 3, 2, 1. Ah. And before we jump back into this space, I want to present you with the question of, what is your inner weather today? Not forcing it to be anything, just checking. What's the inner weather of your body? What's the inner weather of your mind? And very gently and slowly, whatever this means to you, you're going to bring your head to the right side, bring it to the left side. You'll let it hang back for a moment. You'll let it tuck in front of you. You'll bring your head back up to a neutral position, and then ask your body what other stretch feels good for you in this moment. And as you begin to either open your soft gaze or open your eyes completely, orient back into the space, giving gratitude for the 4 walls, the ceiling, and the floor that you're in, giving gratitude to the Wi-Fi that we have that makes these things possible, as well as our devices. And we will come back into the space. And for those of you that are here, if you'd like to share your name and what your inner weather is, or if there's anything else that you feel you want to be witnessed in before we get a little bit deeper into that, you can as well. And I'm going to ask, I'll just go around my screen. And if you don't want to share, that's totally fine as well. Tyler, would you like to say anything?
Sure. I'm Tyler. Yeah, I appreciate Dan, appreciate you hosting this. It's always uncomfortable for me, which I appreciate because it's something new and different for me. I've never had anyone ask me what my inner weather is. Uh, I don't know. The first thing that came to mind was just clouds and raining, not in a bad way. It was just the first thing that popped into my mind. So I got some nice, peaceful cloud rain action going on. So, but I'm happy to be here. Yeah, thanks for hosting.
Yes, of course. And is there anything else that you want to mention at the end, I definitely want to make sure that we will have your Substack in the notes of the show of their like recording, but also inside of the chat as well. But is there anything that you want to preface or give any words of wisdom before we get into checking in with our emotions and writing?
Oh boy, words of wisdom. Yeah, you put me on the spot. So I guess a little background is Dan and I met through a mutual person who I'm writing a air quote self-help book for. Um, and kind of actually through that process of writing his story, I've kind of learned how to maybe enter my you say emotions or some of the more spiritual elements of the world. So doing these kinds of things are good for me, and I think it's good for writing, and that's what writing is. You know, opening of the soul, as cliche as that may sound. So if you're writing honestly, then you're doing it correctly, and that's really the only right answer to it. So. But yeah, we can maybe get into it later. But yeah, thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for sharing and for being here. Dill, would you like to speak into the space?
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Dylan. I am just on the other side of being sick, I guess. I'm not really sure. So my inner weather's kind of like when it's really hot outside and extremely humid just after it rains. So it's like I can't use the rain to cancel anything anymore. I have to go outside, but it's like bleh, outside. That's my inner weather. Cool.
Thank you for
Yeah.
being here. We appreciate you. Maesa, would you like to speak into the space?
Yeah, sure. I'm relieved to be back home after 35 days of traveling. I still have some mosquito bites, which are really bothering me at the moment. I'm scratching all the time, so that's kind of distracting. But yeah, I feel fine to go back home and to be getting back into my routine. I was missing that.
Mhm. Yeah, well, thank you for landing back home and for joining us tonight. I appreciate you. And it's always good to see you. I love your face. And I'm Dan, and my inner weather is like, oh, it's like humid and swampy. I'm about to bleed at any moment, but it like hasn't started yet. And I just like, if somebody breathes wrong near me, I'm like, ew, like that is like the type of humidity and swamp that I feel within my mind and also within my body. And I'm also really excited to be here because I've been looking forward to this pretty much all week since the last time that Tyler and I spoke. And I was like, hey, so basically what happened was Tyler and I were doing creative writing classes and we were doing a little bit of meditating in the beginning, but not like too much. We weren't going super duper deep. Um, but then I taught a class. I teach for the Wheel of the Year, and Lunasaw had just passed in the Northern Hemisphere, which is the first harvest festival. And for that, I was like, I really want them to write because I really enjoyed when we gathered for these writing circles. I felt like they were just, whether people were working on pieces that they were already working or people were just taking a moment to be like, whoa, this is what my heart is saying to me right now. And I really want to have the space to expand on that. Sometimes when we're on this path and this journey, we're like, yeah, I'm going to journal. I'm going to journal. And we journal for like 5-10 minutes. And we just talk shit about the people in our lives, which is fine. And it's good. I'm glad journaling is there for that. But there's something beautiful about like, oh shit, like this gathering is a whole hour. Dan said I have 30 minutes to keep my pen to the paper. Like that is a bit more intense. So for the Lunasaw gathering that I did, I led everybody through an experience and then I gave them, some of them wanted the prompts, some of them didn't want the prompts. And I was like, oh my goodness, immediately I need to call Tyler and we need to get this up and running again if we have the capacity and space for some free gatherings to connect all together. So I've really been deeply looking forward to this, even though I feel like a swamp, and that's okay. Duality. So, with that being said, yeah, if you guys are ready, we can move right into experiencing. And I want to preface this by saying if at any point throughout the process you are too overwhelmed and you need to take a step away, from your computer, you can do so. I would prefer you not like exit the whole call if you're here live with us, just so that I can also support you if there's anything that needs support. But you can turn your cameras off if you don't want to be seen in that expression. That's totally fine with me. I will not be offended. You can take a break if you need. And also, all of the things that I am going to say and offer to you are just an invitation. I'm not telling you that you exactly need to do those things. I'm not telling you you need to feel those things. I am giving you an invitation, and what you do with that is also totally fine. This is not meant to be something that's super overwhelming. So if you find yourself getting super overwhelmed, I want you to take that moment back and maybe you press the mute button on me and you take a few deep breaths and you turn your face away from the computer. And that's totally and completely okay here in this space. With that also being said, if you feel like there's big stuff coming up for you and you feel like it's bringing you to your edge, not pushing you over your edge, and you feel like you have the capacity to stay with that, I want to invite you to stay with that. Let the experience bring you to your edge, if that is possible for you here in this space. And I would say, yeah, just if there's anything else that you can do to make the space more comfortable for you throughout the experience, do so. Whether that's grabbing a pillow, having another sweater nearby, and just making sure that maybe if I invite you to make an ooh or an ah, you feel comfortable in your space to do that. So if there's any doors you want to close, or maybe you want to go into another room, feel free to do so now. And then just have your journal or whatever you're going to use to write close by, so that we can go from the experience straight into whatever is flowing through you. Tyler, is there anything that you want to say? You don't have to say anything. I'm just asking.
Well
I just
said.
want to
Good.
double
No, it's
check it.
great. Perfect. You're good.
Cool. I just want to make sure before you guys close your eyes down or like really get comfortable in your space, I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. So let me just do this really quick. Can you hear me as well as the music? Yeah?
You're mostly you, not music.
Okay.
I hear it.
And what about
Yeah, I
that?
hear a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it's better.
Okay. But you can still hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. It's so interesting. If any of you guys also use Zoom, it's so fucking loud the way I have to put the music. That's why I'm always like, are you sure you can hear me? And everyone's like, yes. I'm like, it doesn't. I wouldn't imagine that. Okay, perfect. So with that being said, okay, I'm going to start the music. And so take the invitations as you will, and we'll get cozy. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. The music is going to start off really gentle and low, and it'll work its way in. So I want to invite you to, after you've checked in with your inner weather, let's bring that internal experience back here into the space. So checking in with yourself, whether you feel comfortable to close eyes down completely or take a soft gaze. And this time, if you're taking a soft gaze, try to bring it to something in the space that's super grounding. Something like a plant, some art, maybe even your laundry that you need to fold. And so I want you to feel the surface beneath your body first and foremost. Feel what it is that your body is grounded onto. And then we'll begin to take inventory of how the air in the space feels. Is it cool? Is it warm? And then taking inventory of how your clothing feels against your skin. Is it tight? Is it loose? And what's happened 2 minutes ago is already past us, and what's to happen 2 minutes into the future is unknown. And so let's begin just really taking some deeper breaths into the body. So feeling the present moment of your breath, the sound that it makes going in through your nostrils, and whether that sound comes back out of your nostrils or it comes out of your mouth. And so if you could imagine roots extending from the bottom and the base of your body into the earth. So either leaving the soles of your feet, out of your legs and your butt, or maybe you're lying down and fully your whole backside. And so if it's accessible and this feels good, I want to invite you to tune into your body. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but seeing what it feels like for a fluid motion of your spine. So for some people, that's going to be a circular motion. And for other people, it's going to be like a wave-like motion that's moving forward and back. And so as those roots go deeper and deeper into whatever it is that's beneath you, imagining that this body part of yours that's moving now, this is the river. What's beneath you is already rooted, and the rest of your body gets to be fluid. And a river is sometimes steady, and sometimes it ripples. So that's why there's no right or wrong way to feel the movement. I want to invite you, if your shoulders and arms feel like they could also move, to allow them the opportunity to do so. Again, soft and fluid. We have all got our eyes closed. You can go away from the screen if that'll help you get into it deeper. I want you to imagine that any energy that's in your body that might feel stagnant or stuffy or blocked can be like pebbles that you find in the river that you want to be rolled smooth. So you can gently shake your hands if that feels good, gently shake your shoulders, potentially even your hips if that's accessible for you. Very gentle, slow, soft. And as you're doing all of these things, see if you can inhale really slowly through the nose and exhale with a soft sound, whether that's an ah and ooh, even just a hum, stimulating the vagus nerve. And allow whatever sound comes from you to be more like the water that moves downstream. Mm. Mm. Ah. And if you see yourself immediately trying to move faster, see if you can invite once again that slowness. If you need a moment of quick movement, of course, take it. And then once again, try to bring that softness, slow and soft. Imagining that the breath in, you focus on release, and the breath out, you focus on flow. The beautiful thing about a river is that it's held by the earth on either side. So there is stability, and you get to be that fluidity that moves in between. And I'm going to invite this in, and only do this if this feels good. You can also look at me if you need to know what we're doing, but you're going to take your right hand, you're going to put it on your chest. Your left hand's going to go on top of that. We're doing the butterfly bilateral stimulation. And you can keep the body rocking, and all you're going to do is tap one side and the other. And if your body still wants to rock from side to side or forward and back, you can enjoy that. Otherwise, you can just enjoy the bilateral stimulation. You might feel like you need to yawn. You might feel like you need to stretch. Just try to stay with this. We're only going to stay with it for about 3 minutes. Keeping the energy inward if you can. I want you to imagine that not only are you the river, but now there's a whole river that's flowing inside of you. And I want to ask you, where does this river begin? Where's its origin? Ooh. When you find its origin, how does it move? And does this river carry anything? Is there anything in the water that it's moving? Is this inner river of yours fast, slow, clear, muddy, blocked, thin, expansive? If you're still using the bilateral stimulation, I want to invite you to let that go unless it feels really good for you and you want to keep it. Otherwise, you can leave it. Just tracing this inner river. And in these last moments, this last minute, if there's any other movement or stretch you feel you need, if there's any other sound you need to take while you're tracing and witnessing this river, please do so. And so we're going to bring our right hand underneath our armpit, cupping our armpit if this is accessible for you. And you'll bring your left hand either to hold your right elbow or it can hold your right shoulder. Just holding that river within. And so I'm going to read the prompts that I have for today. And as you're holding yourself here, if any of these pop out to you while I say them, you can run with them once we open our eyes and come back into the space. Otherwise, I want you to continue to trace that river within and see what wants to be written just from that river that you experienced. So the first prompt would be, if my inner river could speak, it would tell me. The current within me is pulling me towards. I remember the last time I felt like water. Was I calm, stormy, rushing, or still? My river carries these treasures, these sediments, these stories. And so gently you can drop your hands either into your lap or to your sides. You can take a stretch, rock your head from side to side, up and down, whatever is best for you to come back to this space. The invitation I want here is also that if you need a moment before you journal, You can drink some extra water. You can stand up and let the inner river of your body, if you haven't stood up yet, go all the way into your feet. And so here, the invitation is for you to really find what feels best. The prompts are in the chat if you would like to follow the prompts. Otherwise, I want you to stay deeply connected to that incredible, full of wisdom river within. And I'm going to put music on and give us, if it's good with you guys, the next 25 minutes to just run with it. But if you need me, just use the chat or say something. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Mm. We're about halfway through, so if you wanted to switch from prompts to just your heart, something that you're working on, journaling something else, that's just your reminder now. Continue. Mm. 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 Wow. Mm. 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 So we're at the 25-minute mark. And if you're deep in something that's flowing out of you right now, I want you to stick with it, stay right there. Otherwise, finishing up your thoughts. Mhm. And when you finish up those thoughts, close up those thoughts, I just want you to take a few deep breaths. Mm. As we were journaling, I was like, damn, I'm like coming up with more journal prompts like on the spot. I'm like, these are great too. So I'm gonna open the space here for anybody that may want to share what came through for them. If you would like to share, but you don't want your share on the recording, please let me know and I can just pause the recording. It could be sharing anything that came up from you from the experience that we did, although it was short and sweet. We still went into something, or anything that's on your page, anything that you wrote that you want to share, any ideas that you were moving with that maybe if you want, you have to like state this fully to get feedback in the space. Um, because when we are sharing, if someone shares something and you're like, I really deeply resonate with that, or I want to give feedback on that, in this type of container, I ask that you ask the person first, can I respond to? And if the person says no, thank you, because sometimes we just want to be witnessed in what we've created and we don't want to receive feedback, that's okay too. So if someone says, no, I don't want to receive feedback, you just say, okay, and you move on with your life. Or maybe they might say to you, yes, but I'd like to talk about it later and we can connect. And that's totally and completely okay as well. So I'm going to go around my screen again, and don't feel like you have to share either. So Maisa, is there anything that you'd like to share into the space?
Not right now.
Thank you so much. Dylan, is there anything that you'd like to share into the space?
Yeah. As far as the prompts go, I wrote a bunch here, but I'll just read or share the cliff notes, I guess. So if my inner river could speak, one, I wrote about how my inner river would tell me to stop trying to swim upstream. All of a sudden, I like turn around and try to swim upstream instead of going with the flow, which ends up messing up my flow, but also the people around me as well, because everyone else is moving down the river and I'm like trying to go back up it. So I think that's really what my river would tell me. In few words. Um, and I think the thing that I'm swimming away from is um well, the current is pulling me towards expression, freedom, and community and stuff like that. And I think just because of I got so used to watching my parents swim upstream about those things that I just kind of naturally have picked that up as well. Um, and so I think my current is trying to pull me towards those things, and I'm keeping myself in the same box that my parents did, that I'm trying to like get away from that. And I'm not really sure why. And then the last one that I wrote about, because I wasn't really quite sure what to say or if the fourth quotation was even a question. Um, but the last time I felt like water, um, I felt like my body like moves on its own. All of a sudden, before my brain gets a chance to react, my body's already doing it. I'm clear-headed. It's almost like both my body and my thoughts are like clouds. I often feel like that when I play sports or when I do jujitsu or other types of martial arts. Um, that's usually when I feel like water is when I'm playing sports, which I feel like maybe for a lot of people might feel more like fire, but for me, that's when I feel like water. So
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I know I kind of fucked up on that question or sentence thought. I don't know. It made sense in my mind, but I couldn't get it out of my mind and into what I wanted it to be. But you did great with it anyway, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Tyler, is there anything that you wanted to share into the space?
Yeah, so as you know, it's these kinds of things are always awkward for me. Like even when we were doing the meditation, I was just getting like really hot and just like felt uncomfortable, even though everyone's, eyes were closed. So when I was listening to the prompt, like, the river I thought about was just like very like calm, but like very low waters. And I didn't know if that meant anything or not. And then, you asked a question about like where does your river begin? And like the immediate answer is like nowhere. And it just like came through. So with my writing stuff that I've been doing, I've been trying to like put myself out there more, which is very uncomfortable and awkward for me. It just is. And a lot of times when um dealing with not dealing, but like thinking about emotional things or things that are kind of more spiritual and that's uncomfortable for me, I tend to like, come up with stories and I just kind of follow it and just see where it goes. So that's kind of what I did. I kind of just wrote like this little story, just not understanding what it would go to, but I thought it was kind of cool. So if you guys don't mind, I'll read it to you and it's hopefully not too much of a bore. But I based it on the prompt of if my inner river could speak, it would tell me. So it's kind of what I kind of just went with. So I'll read it. When I traveled north to the town of Name, they talked of a river that had no beginning. They said it ended somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, and that if you were lucky enough or fortunate enough to get close to where it was born, you could hear it speak. I, just a man born in a small town near Providence, did not believe in such things. Folks up in these parts north were what my mother would call simple, and I would tend to agree, making up stories in their heads and telling them to each other like they were true. They're always making something up, she would say, always telling tall tales and long lies. She would always laugh at her own joke and simple wit. A man in the town of Name, who they called Charmin, pointed me in the direction I had to go. I offered him 5 locks, but he declined, waved me away as he did so, as if I didn't smell good, as if I had something unnatural to me that had to be gotten away with quick. And so I moved on, and I carried on for 3 days until one of the soles on one of my boots broke away and was no longer any good. I sat on a stone beside a small riverbed. The thing was all dried up, mostly that is. A small murmur of water carried on, barely enough to cover the black and gray pebbles. Sitting there, stuck, looking around for how to fix my soul, is when I heard it speak. It spoke as clear as day, like any other voice I've ever heard. When I ran back down to the town of Name, shoe in one hand, broken soul in the other, they must have thought me a madman, shouting and hollering that I heard the river talk. It took a long while, but I finally figured out that they were calling me a crazed foreigner. No rivers out there speak, they said. I had gone the wrong way for that. Charmin told me where I really needed to go, that is, if I was still interested. I took a steamer the next day, and it dumped me out somewhere on a coast in the Pacific. I backpacked up a mountain there until I was at the end, and I saw where the river was born. So that was it. So I thought that was cool because I thought it was funny because the whole idea of like broken shoe, broken, like I don't know where that came from, just came from it's nowhere. And then it's like, oh, sole's broken. He's running down there. He's got his soul in one hand. He's like, oh, it's all fucked up. And they're like, dude, that's not even where it's at. Like, where were you going? And then he ends up going to the end at the beginning. The end of the river was in the Pacific, and that's where he went, and that's where his beginning. So it's like, oh, beginning and end, it's all the same thing. So I thought that was kind of cool. But it's just funny when I write, sometimes I feel more spiritual and open, and like a subconscious thing can make connections. Or I'm just filling in things that I, want to see that aren't really there. I don't know. It's one or the other. So thank you though for listening.
Thank you so much for sharing. Incredible. I love it. It made a lot of sense on where it went. And I feel like you pulled it from somewhere. And I think that it was beautiful. So thank you for sharing it here. And if you guys want to read more of Tyler's writing, make sure that you're subscribed to his Substack. And I'll make sure that when I upload this to YouTube, that I put your Substack in there as well. You can put it into the chat now if you want to as well. That also works. So yeah, thank you so much. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. I definitely think that writing is spiritual and not just in a journaling sense. Although, like, for me, I mean, I wrote 5 pages of stuff and I don't even know what it is. But for me, it ended with like the fact that like we all come from the most sacred waters out there, which is like the waters of the womb. And like so often we tend to forget that. And so that was what I was writing about, was like, how could I have forgotten that I came from sacred waters and then forget sometimes to check in with my inner waters? And one of the things that also came up for me as I was writing, and then like I wrote a little thing, but that also came up was like my inner river is so clear right now. And I wrote at one point after I got bit by that mosquito in Mexico, I didn't have the energy to clear the debris in my inner waters. So I knew that there was so much debris being put into my inner waters. I just didn't have the strength to move it. And I thought that that was really interesting because I blamed myself many times for that. And instead, as I was writing, it was very much so like, there's no need to place blame anywhere. Just like you didn't have the energy to clear it, and that's okay. And now you do. And so now you can. Like, what's the big deal? And I also wrote at one point, for those of you that maybe use marijuana or Santa Maria as like a grounding tool for me. I abused marijuana for many, many years, which is why I stopped. But I also wrote in here at one point, like, that marijuana was something that allowed me to access my inner waters much easier. It like gave me the spaciousness to do so, almost like my inner waters are somewhere like, and there's a dam in front of it, and I need so badly to like really focus on letting them flow. And then before I share what I wrote, I also wrote in here that like I've been so deeply called to work with Bobinsana in like a dieta form. But actually our cat's name is Bobinsana. And so I haven't had the opportunity to diet that plant yet, which is Bobinsana is a water plant. And Bobinsana was over here when we began, and then he got annoyed with me because I was I was moving too much for his liking. So he left. But I think there's also something for me to sit with in terms of like other water plants at this time. But one of the things that I wrote that I'm going to share here was my inner waters have rushed, been stifled, been contaminated, but they've always remained holy. Holy in touch, holy in smell, holy in taste. Every rock within a story of who I am, how I came to be, held by the mother, loved by the earth, known by each drop of self. My inner waters remember and have always known the way back to that little spot in my heart at the beach with Jeej, with Chinote, with everything I've ever shown love. Um, and I love living in the Andes in Peru. Love it. So blessed, so privileged, so beautiful. But I deeply miss being near the ocean. And so there was something for me after I wrote that where like I kind of went into like, okay, like why do I struggle to connect with some of the lakes and the rivers here? But for me, like the ocean is just that like that's the thing that like calms me down every time. So this was good because I feel like I need to go apologize to the river that's literally like 30 steps from our house that I just have a blockage with it that I'm trying to figure out. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. This was wonderful. And I know it was like short, like the experience was short and like all of that. I just wanted to really get a feel for how it would feel to bring this space back and do something like that. And because we worked with the spirits of the water, I would love to receive the feedback of anybody that has joined. Like, we can do the other elements, you know, we can meet next month and we can work with the spirits of the air, you know, and those types of things. Or if there's something that calls to you in a different way, and maybe we can incorporate that in there. But I think using writing as a tool to see things is incredible. And then pairing it along with some of the other things is also as incredible. So I want to just thank you guys, but also open the space. Is there anything else that wants to be said or needs to be said here? And if not, that's totally okay. And I'll make sure, Tyler, thank you to put that, which I know what your Substack is, so that's no problem for me. Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much, guys, for joining and for being here. I adore each and every one of you that's here right now. So I really deeply appreciate you guys. And I hope that this was just a little cozy cup of tea for you throughout this week. I hope that the rest of your week goes swimmingly. And please feel free to reach out if you want to talk to Tyler in terms of like writing even more in depth. Because I feel like a lot of people in the spiritual communities, they are not just creatives, but they have so much to share in terms of teaching. And so if you're like interested in writing, whether it's just short stories or like an actual book, please feel free to get in touch with Tyler. And if there's anything that you need me for, you guys all know how to reach me. But otherwise, have a beautiful rest of your evening, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
See you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.